pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Before we start the actual meeting itself, I want to make 2 points. The first is that we've had some people that have been questioning how quickly we go through things on our agenda, and I wanted to explain that if you have questions about the agenda itself, you can find it on the independenceia.org. You can see the agenda, and then on the detailed one, it'll give you more information. Also, when we vote on something here on council, usually it's been before the committee of the whole, or it's been someplace within council already, so that when you see a vote that's happening without much discussion, that just means we've already done the discussion part of it in another session. So it's not that we're ignoring things or we're just willy-nilly just going ahead and approving things. So I wanted to point that out because we've had some people that have been asking about that specifically. If we could then move to the roll call vote, the roll call, please.
Callahan? Here. Houston?
Here.
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Forsater?
Here.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. Public comment. Do we have any visitors that have comments tonight? Hearing none, we'll move to the next, which is the consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda. It's going to have the following items on it: the minutes from the August 8th, 2022 regular meeting, the placement of the time capsule at the Oakwood Cemetery, the Pat's Tap Class C liquor license renewal that includes living quarters, outdoor services, and Sunday service, September 1st, 2022 to August 31st, 2023, the Heartland Acres Agribition Center, Class C liquor license ownership amendment, the special event application, the Blue Block Party Saturday, October the 15th of 2022, the R&R Cafe Class C liquor license renewal that includes outdoor service, Sunday service, September 18th, 2022 through September 17th, 2023, and then the Heartland Acres Class C liquor license renewal that includes the outdoor service and Sunday services, September 1, 2022 through August the 31st of 2023.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 7-0. Okay, let's move then to it says item 5 on August 8th. The
No,
different date?
that's just notes. We're done with claims.
Okay. Okay, so then we'll move to the financials under the, does anybody have any questions about the financials themselves?
Buchanan, that's one of the larger bills I've seen, the Buchanan County Health Center for $68.75. Is this,
That's our ambulance
okay.
subsidy payment.
So is that, the 68 is the,
Every month. we
That's our
get-
reg-
Yep,
Now,
that's
is-
our monthly payment.
now that's the monthly payment up until October the 15th when it changes?
I'm not for sure when the date for the changes, but they send us the bill and then that's what we pay, so.
Okay, because as you may recall, initially, because we didn't have the budgeted amount for it, the hospital was paying a larger sum, and then we were going to make up that sum in subsequent years. So there will be a change in the dollar amount of it coming up in the not. It's pretty close. I think it's either October 15th, if I'm not mistaken. Anything else with regard to the approval of the claims for payment? If not, can I have a motion to approve the claims for payment, please?
So moved?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 7-0. We move to the budgeted and monthly transfers portion. Is there any questions or discussion with regard to the budget and monthly transfers?
I just have one question on the police department one on the speed cameras. Is the new camera functioning now, Chief?
Yes. That camera's been functioning for approximately a month. And it has been issuing citations commensurate with the amount of traffic that's out there during all other times. And actually got our high one on that camera for the eastbound on First Street West at 85 miles an hour the other morning. So,
Holy cow.
So new record.
yeah, new record.
Yeah, I was home that day.
But it is up and working, so with the first day of school to work, I've been in contact with Brian Grace about the camera replacement for the box that's down on Third Ave, as well as the other one on the other side then, too.
Thank you.
And by the way, I don't know if you know this, I'm going to be leaving here after a little bit. We have an event that I have to be at, so if there's anything else you can come up with before I go, feel free.
Just leave your sidearm.
Dick's got it tonight, that and the Crawford boys.
Okay.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is C, that's the revenues and expenses to date on the financials. Does anybody have any discussion or information about that subject? Not, we'll move to item 4, which is the LMI homeowner repair program. We're scheduled for a public hearing at this time, so I need a motion to receive and file the proof of publication of the notice of public hearing for the LMI homeowner repair program.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of that, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, we're now in a public hearing. Is there anybody that has anything to add with respect to the LMI homeowner repair program?
And these 5 people all got approved,
Yes, these
Yes.
were all the income verifications from.
and that was all of them, there wasn't any more than that, or?
So after this one, we'll set another public hearing for September 26th for 2 more that got income verified. We didn't get them in time to put with these, so.
So we'll do this one more time for 2. So a
Yes.
total of 7.
Yes, we have 7 properties right now that are income verified to do the projects.
So fund-wise, we've got that covered.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so then, if there's no further discussion for the public hearing, we'll need a motion to close the public hearing and to receive and file any oral or written comments, which there were none.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so then we move to item B, which is the consideration of bids for the LMI repair program.
We did not get any bids, so what we'll have to do is tomorrow I will need to get in touch with all the homeowners and say, we didn't receive anything, so I'll need you to go get current estimates, submit them, we'll make sure they seem in line for the work that needs to be done, and then I'll bring them back for council approval just to accept what's being proposed done, so. And I'd asked Al about this, I'm like, what happens if I don't get any bids? He goes, then we do what I just explained, and he said this happened the first time we did this in 2018, so.
So how do we know if the bids are like in the ballpark?
I'll probably just ask Todd to review, say, okay, this is what I know, this is what they are proposed, does this seem like a reasonable estimate to do whatever? Get his, just to kind of double check it, and then I'll bring it back to you guys to essentially award it.
And we'll have a chance to look at the bids before the meeting itself, so that
I'll have them attached as an attachment.
So if there's an issue with something, we can investigate it beforehand, and so we can have a better conversation about it at the time.
So I had a call about this tonight, said property owners should have their contractor call the city.
So I need to, some of them maybe didn't necessarily give quotes. They just said, I want this, this, and this done. So we didn't receive any bids, so I need to go back to them and say, you need to try to find somebody that does the work you're asking for to see if they'll write up a quote and then turn it into us.
This is a pretty wide variety of repairs. We've got electrical work and upgrades on one house. We've got plumbing repairs, furnace, water heater replacements, access ramp improvements. One of them, we've got access ramp improvements. Another one, we've got siding and window and door repairs. Another one, we've got furnace heat source replacement. So it's a pretty good variety of different types of work that's involved. Since there is no bids to approve, we'll skip item C and move to skip item E as well?
No,
No.
we still need to do D. That's for the other two properties that.
Right, okay, so D is to set a public hearing for the LMI homeowner repair program for the other two. I need a motion to set a date of September the 26th, 2022 at 5 o'clock PM for a public hearing for detailed plans, specifications, notice of hearing, notice of bidders, and form of contract for the LMI homeowner repair program. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, the motion carries. It'll be set for September 26th, 2022. Okay, next we have the hearings on the ordinances. First one we have is the third and final reading of the Code 69.30 loading zones for adoption pursuant to Iowa Code 380.3. First, I need a motion to approve that.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. That's a roll call vote.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prusiner,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Jensen. Yes. Callahan. Houston.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0. Item B on the hearings and ordinances is public hearing and first reading of the Code Section 1.15, the fines and fees schedule. So first, I need a motion to receive and file the proof of publication of notice of public hearing for Code Section 1.15 fines and fees schedule.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 7-0. Next, I need a motion to hold a public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. With regard to the public hearing on that, is there anybody that wishes to be heard with respect to that issue? Anybody on council? Okay, I would need then a motion to close the hearing and to receive and file oral or written comments, which we have none.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of that, please signify.
Aye.
It passes 7-0. Next, I need a motion to approve the first reading of the motion itself.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Okay, and that would be a roll call vote.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prusiner,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan. Houston.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Item C is Code Section 20.05, which is the city attorney attendance at meetings. This is for a public hearing and a first reading. So first, I need a motion to receive and file the proof of publication for notice of public hearings for Code Section 20.05, city attorney attendance at meetings.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify.
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. We're now in a public hearing with regard to the city attorney attendance at meetings. Anybody comment on that? Hearing none, I need a motion to close the hearing and to receive and file any oral or written comments.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 7-0. Before I move to the next one, which is to approve the first reading, I'm wondering if the council would be interested in waiving the requirement of 3 considerations of the ordinance before final passage. It's optional. So if someone is interested in that, I would just need a motion to waive the requirements. Otherwise, I need a motion to,
We still have to do a motion to approve the first reading.
okay. Jumped ahead of myself there. So do I have a motion to approve the first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion, that's a roll call vote, please.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prusiner.
Yes.
Now, this is optional, the council does not have to do this, but if you're interested in eliminating the other additional hearings on this, if I had a motion to waive the requirement for the 3 considerations of the ordinance prior to final passage, we could consider that at this time, otherwise, we would not. So
I would make a motion to waive the requirement since it's an administrative function.
Do I have a second to that?
I would second that.
Any discussion about that?
So it requires a 3/4 vote
Okay.
for words.
Okay, so then roll call vote on that, please.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
No,
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Passes
Uh,
6.
Yes.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. So yes, it does pass.
Yep,
So 6 out of 7, so that's our 2/3, right?
yep, so 3/4.
3/4, sorry.
So now it's waived, so now you need the motion to actually pass the second and third readings, which is back to a majority vote.
Okay. So I need a motion to approve the changes to Code Section 20.05, City Attorney Attendance at Meetings.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second, and this is just a.
Back to a majority vote. It just takes the 3/4 vote to waive
But it's
three
still,
separate
but it's
readings.
still roll call, though.
It's still roll call.
Very good.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston.
Didn't we already vote on this?
You voted to waive the second and third readings, and that passed, so now you need to, for a roll call vote, to actually approve it.
Sounds fishy, but
Prove it
that's.
without the second and the third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second vote you had was really just to waive the requirement for 3 separate readings. And so now
Yes.
you're voting on the final passage.
Hannah,
I'm with him, it's confusing. If we vote,
If you vote yes, then we're done with this, and we have the change made to the city ordinance with regard
if
to
we
the.
vote no,
If you vote no, it wouldn't matter. It's a simple majority.
yeah, yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
It passes 7-0. Okay, next we have the item D. I'm sorry?
That's okay.
Next, we have item D, which is Code Section 5203, which is the mowing of properties definition. This is the public hearing and first reading. First, I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of the notice of public hearing for Code Section 5203, mowing of properties definitions.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Any discussion on that?
We certainly can have
once
discussion on
we
it.
get into the public hearing, Tom.
What's that?
Once we get to the public hearing.
Then yes. Aye.
So did we get out?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody, yep.
Okay, so passes 7-0. Next is the motion to hold the public hearing itself.
So moved.
Second,
I have a motion and a second, so all in favor of going to the public hearing?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, we're now in public hearing. Tom, did you have something?
When we first discussed this, when we got the property exempted, Al made a comment about possibly requiring properties to get the exemption on an annual basis. Are we not doing that now, or is that still a consideration?
Not,
It could be a consideration. Right now, the only thing you're voting on is to add the definitions portion, so we're defining what constitutes the different types of noxious
yeah,
weeds.
so that's all we're doing
So
right now.
it's just the definition, that's the only
Okay.
thing you're voting on.
Okay, all right.
The one we voted on earlier was just for that year. So at this point, they would have to come back and reapply for it. Is that what you were asking?
So next year, they would have to come back?
We only gave them 1 year.
Right.
Really?
At the time of the prior.
Oh.
And I think the reason for that is, as I recall, was because we wanted to get the definition in first before we, in case there were issues that would arise of other people as opposed to the one that actually came forward and asked for the specific exemption.
Okay, well, I'm all for an annual thing, you know.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize that we voted to do that. earlier, so, okay.
Okay, so then I need a motion to close the hearing and to receive and file any oral or written comments.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, I need a motion to approve the first reading of this particular section change. So
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. That would be a roll call vote.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes,
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Now, again, we have the option of waiving the further readings because this is just the change of a definition itself within the ordinances. So if the council wanted to, we could waive the second and third readings and have this go into effect now. Otherwise, we would just leave it as it is. So if somebody wants to make that motion to waive the requirements of the three considerations by council, we could do that. Otherwise, it would just stay as it is and come up on the next agenda.
So we're just following state guidelines, correct? So I would second that motion.
okay.
Did somebody make it first? Oh,
I did.
okay. Okay, so that would be a roll call vote also.
Houston,
Yes,
Hannah,
No.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
No.
Okay, so that doesn't pass
Does
then.
not pass.
So it'll come up on the next agenda then, next time.
okay.
E is the code sections related to the alcoholic beverage control. This is a public hearing and first reading. First, I need a motion to receive and file the publication of notice of public hearing of code sections related to the alcoholic beverage control.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That also passes 7-0.
To clarify this is to put us in line with the state requirements, right?
That is correct.
Which I think almost everything we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
So we're now in a public hearing, so if does anybody have any comments or questions or concerns about this?
Kathy, to your point, this one and the next one are directly related to state code of things we need to do to be in compliance with them. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Hearing nothing with regard to the public hearing, I need a motion to close the hearing and to receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that passes 7-0. The public hearing is now closed. Next, I need a motion to approve the first reading, and that would be a first reading. First, I need the motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. That'd be a roll call vote for the first reading approval.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston.
What are we voting for?
Just the
First reading.
first reading.
First
Of
reading,
what?
the alcoholic
The
beverage.
alcoholic beverage?
Yes.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Because of the fact that in order to be in compliance with Iowa code, this is one where you might want to consider approving it tonight, adopting it tonight, so we're in compliance immediately as opposed to waiting. If that were the case, I would need a motion to waive the requirement of the three consideration of the ordinance prior to final passage.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second,
State code would overrule anything we had as an ordinance anyway, wouldn't it?
probably.
But would it cause us some issues if something happened?
If you were to cite anyone for a violation of one of these under the local code, it wouldn't stand right now, if it was cited based upon the inconsistency with the state code. So if there was something that came up in the meantime that you wanted to cite, you'd want to cite them under the state code, which is always an option too.
Okay, so this would, I have a motion and a second, so this would be a roll call vote, and then again, I need the three-fourths vote on this.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0.
So now the requirements are waived, so now you actually vote on the final approval.
Okay, so the final approval then, I need a motion to approve the code sections relating to alcoholic beverage control.
So moved.
Second.
I I have a motion and a second. Again, this is a roll call vote.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes,
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
That's 7-0, so that's sufficient to pass, and that is now finalized. Next, we move to item F, which is Code Section 4114, which is fireworks. This is a public hearing and first reading, and again, this is one that if it's adopted tonight, we would be in compliance with Iowa code. First off, we need to start with the motion to receive and file the proof of publication of the notice of public hearing for Code Section 41.14 fireworks.
So moved.
second,
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That passes 7-0. Next, I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. We're now in the public hearing with regard to the fireworks change in the ordinance. I don't hear anybody has any comments for the public hearing, so I would need a motion to close the hearing and to receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Next, I need a motion to approve the first reading.
So moved.
second,
I have a motion and a second. That's a roll call vote.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Kurtz.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Now, the question is, does the council want to make a motion to waive the requirement of the three considerations of the ordinance prior to final passage so that we have this in effect and we're in compliance with Iowa code immediately?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, this is a roll call vote with a three-quarter vote required.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
No.
Hannah,
no,
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
Okay, this does not pass, so it'll be the next up on the, for second reading at the time of the next meeting we have.
I don't think there's been any fines given out for fireworks anyway, so I don't think it makes a difference one way or the other.
Well, our city
that's not
code
what we're voting on.
restricted where you could sell these, so.
Yeah, this was on sales.
But
So basically, we're being compliant with the state, is what you voted no on.
You sell them out of the trunk of your car now.
you probably wouldn't get fined.
Okay, let's move to item G then, which is the code section 75.04 and 75.05, which is a public hearing. This was on
ATVs.
the ATV, UTVs operating within city limits. So first, I need a motion to receive and file the proof of publication of notice of public hearing for code section 75.04 and 75.05.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, I need the motion to hold the public hearing itself.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes. We're now in public hearing.
This is basically to put us in line with the state revision to the,
So state said that if we charge people for permits, we can no longer do that. We could still require them to have permits, but we don't charge people for permits and we don't require the permits. Everything else, it's kind of optional.
But they license those to the state anyway, don't they?
What's that?
ATVs are
They're-
licensed to the state.
yeah.
Right, yep, you have to license
Yeah,
them
you
through the
Department of
county,
Natural
but cities could also
Right.
be stinkers and say, yes, you register with the county, but you also have to register and pay with our fees. Now the
That's the
state
difference
said,
between golf carts. They don't have to be licensed to the state. So they're getting a permit, so they're not getting a double whammy. But if we did the ATVs, they'd be,
right. So state said you can no longer, cities cannot double whammy, to use your words, Deb, for ATVs registration.
And didn't this change the roads they can drive out on?
I just want to make that point, make that clear. too.
Yeah.
and now, before they couldn't be on Main Street, right? But now they can be?
The 2 blocks from Bank, Iowa, east to Quick Start, we could not, the ATVs could not travel that. And with
No,
the
they
state
can.
ordinance now, you can, actually will be able to do that. Which I think is good because we have so many businesses on Main Street that I see being frequented now, if they can go to the back parking lots.
I had a call about that there was an ATV there. I said, I thought this law said they could, so
And that's, there's a little bit
public's
of
listening, don't know it.
misconception. The state put theirs out. We didn't have it that way yet, so some people have been adhering to the state rather than our local, and this will put us in line where won't be any question anymore.
To be clear, though, that the state isn't mandating that the city adopt their rules.
Correct.
Yeah, you're open to do really whatever you want, except you can't charge a permit fee. But ironically, if you wanted to, you could probably charge an inspection fee. I had a police chief ask me about it, I looked into it. It would kind of go against, I think, the intent of the code. And if you charge, for example, an inspection fee for your people that live in town, and then they get that city permit, what happens to people who live outside of town that want to come in for an event or something? Now they got to get to the police department, it just would be a mess, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
promote that, but some cities have kind of stuck to the sunrise to sunset, or the, 8 PM to, nobody on the road from 10 PM to 5 in the morning. Some have still eliminated certain streets. Some have still kept some of those in place. I had one city that said, we want them to have turn signals, because the state code doesn't require turn signals. And that city says, we're gonna let them go anywhere, but they have to have turn signals. So I guess I understand that, but at the same token, people aren't gonna be expecting to have turn signals because of the state code, so then they come into your town, they get a ticket. If they got a ticket, wouldn't leave kind of a bad taste in their mouth probably, but you are free to do what you want in those regards.
Thank you.
I don't think we've had any big issues with the ATVs being a problem, according to the police officers, so.
According to the chief, yeah, according to the chief, there's been very few.
Any other part of the public hearing? Okay, then I need a motion to close the public hearing and to receive and file the oral and written comments.
So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That passes 7-0. We're now closed the hearing. Next, I need a motion to approve the first reading.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. That's a roll call vote.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan. Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes,
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prasada,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
It passes 7-0. Now, again, you have the option to waive the requirement of the three considerations of the ordinance so that these changes that we've made can be in effect right away, as opposed to waiting another 3 more hearings before it would actually.
motion.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Again, this is a 3/4 vote.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
well, they're already doing it, so yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prasada,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0 to waive the requirement of the 3 considerations. So next, we would need a vote on the, we would now need a motion itself to approve the
Waiver?
The final
Pass.
passage, actually.
the final passage of the changes to the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, this is a roll call vote.
Prasada,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes,
Kurtz.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next, we move to the resolutions itself. Letter A is the resolution to assess a property owner for Chapter 52 mowing of properties, the failure to comply.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Again, is there any discussion first before I move to the? Okay, then that's a roll call vote.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Kurtz.
Yes.
Prasada,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next is item B, which is the resolution of establishing the use of American Recovery Plan Act funds for third-party nonprofit organizations. At the last hearing, this was tabled, so if we're going to have any discussion or vote on it, the first thing that would have to happen is we need a motion to remove it from the table. If there's no motion or it doesn't pass, it would stay on the table until the next meeting. So so first, is there a motion to take it off the table? Because if, like I said, if there is none, then we would just move on to the next item.
So moved.
You want to move it off the table? Okay, is there a second on that then?
I would second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to remove it from the table so we can put it up for discussion then. I believe it's a simple majority to remove it from the table, so,
Thought I needed 6 yes votes.
I sent you an email on that.
majority vote to pass, so just simple majority.
Simple majority to pass.
Okay.
Is there any discussion about taking it off the table?
I don't,
I don't even know if I get any.
It's not debatable.
Okay,
was gonna
then it's
say.
not debatable. All in favor of removing it
no,
from the
I need a
table?
roll call vote.
We decided we need a roll call for that?
Yeah.
I think I need a motion to approve it, but do I need a motion to take it off? Do I need a roll call to take it off the,
I don't think a roll call is necessarily required, so long, if it wasn't clear, all in favor, opposed, if it's not clear, then you could do a roll call.
okay, let's
It's not
try.
clear to me. It's not clear to me. What are we doing here?
The vote that we're doing is a vote at the last meeting, we were talking about whether or not there was a list of companies that were looking for reimbursement for losses that they've suffered as a result of COVID. And it wasn't, the motion, at the time, the motion was not one to approve those items, it was merely to consider them as a possible distribution for our monies.
Okay.
At the time of the last meeting, this was tabled. So once it's tabled, then there's no longer a vote on it, and it sits on the table until somebody removes it from the table. The vote that we're having right now is merely to whether to take it off the table or not, so we can have a discussion of it.
Vote. Okay.
So we have a motion and a second,
Thank
so,
you.
so all in favor of that?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so that would pass. So it's now off the table and back up for discussion in terms of the use of city funds for third-party nonprofit organization requests. Again, this is not an actual approval of the monies that are being requested. It's for them to go back and draw up the actual agreement amounts that they are looking for. So I think that when we discussed it last time, part of the discussion was whether or not we were going to include everyone that's on the list, or whether we're going to include some of them on the list. And again, that's a decision that council needs to make. But at this time, it's just open for discussion on these issues. So we're now in a position to discuss it, if anybody has any further discussion about it.
Or to change the amounts.
Well, no, so all this resolution is just saying we could use American Rescue money for these type of organizations. We're not saying we're gonna give Kidsville $5,218, Heartland Acres $66,000. We're not doing that tonight. It's just, we could use this money for that.
Now,
We'll have actual discussion as to, we're going to enter into an agreement of sorts to actually use the money, or give the money to them.
My recommendation to council would be that you consider approving this, and then at the committee of the whole meeting, we can discuss it in greater detail in terms of what we want to do and not do with regard to it. But in the meantime, by passing it, you allow us to put it into our committee, and it also allows us to get information from these groups in terms of the amounts that we would actually have. So you can do whatever you want to do, of course, but that would be my recommendation to you.
So the resolution actually on the floor is a resolution establishing the use of American Recovery Plan Act funds for third-party nonprofit organizations.
Correct.
Correct.
That's from the last meeting minutes.
Okay, so I guess we've already had the motion itself, so I don't need the motion, I just need a roll call on it at this
Yeah,
point
if
then?
there's no further discussion, then you'd be voting on that resolution moved at the last meeting.
Okay, so any further discussion then, so we'll move to the roll call then.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Persauer,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
No.
Jensen,
No.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
So that would pass 5-2. So then we'll be discussing that at the committee of the whole meeting in 2 weeks.
Did you say no?
I said yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so next we move to item C, which is the airport appointment. This is a motion, I'm looking for a motion to approve Vicki Pilcher to the airport board.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, just so for informational purposes, Arletta Schweitzer had resigned, so there was an opening on the board itself. The mayor's not required to, but I believe it's in the best interest of everybody to talk to the person that's in charge of the committee and the president of the committee before actually making such an appointment. So that's what I've done. And both Brett and Dan Callahan had approved the recommendation itself, so that's why I'm putting it forward to you. So first I need, did we do the motion itself?
Yep, I have a motion in a second.
Okay, so this would be a roll.
Prasadar,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Okay, that would pass 7-0. Congratulations, Vicki, wherever you are. Next, we move to other business. This is the Independence Facade Project Change Order Number 3.
So moved. Oh, that's just information.
No, it's a roll call, so we're looking for a motion to actually approve the change order number 3.
So I have the motion, I just need a
Second.
second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second.
So this is a change for the better. Is that what I got from it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's no cost changes.
Yeah, there was no
Correct.
cost change itself, so I think we're just changing the, so, any further discussion on that? Okay, so then we're voting to whether to approve the change order. That's a roll call vote.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan. Yes. Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Prasadar.
Yes.
Okay, next we would move to the item B, which is the engineer update. Hello, Brian.
Evening, everybody.
Good evening.
2 updates for you tonight on projects. Liberty Trail South Extension, we're roughly 90% complete with that work. They're essentially just working through punch list items on the project that we've identified as we've gone along. I did have a question about a potential ribbon cutting for the opening of that trail, and we'll make sure that once the trail is ready for the opening, we'll communicate that through Susie here at City Hall to make sure that anybody that wants to attend that has the opportunity to do so. That completion date on that project is actually October 1st. I think we're going to be closer to September 1st if things continue to go well. So,
Sounds good. Thank you, Brian. One question for you on that is, has there been any plans for any further expansion of the trails beyond where it's ending by Southwest Park itself?
yes, there's a connection that is proposed. The city applied for funding in 2017 to extend the trail from 3 Elms Park Boulevard down in front of Fairway along Highway 150 and to Walmart, and then beyond Walmart to the west on Enterprise Drive to make a connection to the Triangle Park that's there at the Pines, which is, we came from the other direction and connected with this south extension. So the city was awarded funding. There wasn't enough funding to fund the entire trail, and so we broke that trail into 2 pieces. So the first segment started up there at 3 Elms Boulevard, went to Walmart, and we're awaiting funding approval for Phase 2 of that. It's referred to as the Highway 150 Enterprise Drive Trail. So there is, in the master plan that we've worked on, there is an extension that's in the works to go west to Triangle and then finish out a trail north along 6th Avenue to connect to the neighborhood sidewalks at the south end of Olds Addition there.
Now, I'll kind of put you on the spot here, but
Yeah.
if we were going from 3 Elms all the way to where South Liberty Trail is and then all the way up to where it begins on Liberty Trail itself, do we have an estimate as to the length of the trail?
I believe,
Well, from 3 Elms to the corner of Enterprise is a mile.
yeah, I think we were close to 5,000 feet on Phase 2. What remains, I guess, of that link on Phase 2 is about 5,000 feet, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, and then what is the South Liberty Trail currently? When it's finished, what will we expect to have there?
They just completed about 5,300 feet was the length of that trail from, and this project included from Driscoll Dry Run Creek, where the pavement actually ended prior to this project, all the way down to the Triangle Park trail that's around the pond down there at Triangle Park.
Okay, great. Thank you for that information.
You're welcome. Any other questions related to the trail?
When do we find out if we get the grant money for this next phase?
We will apply again in March, so the mayor and I will be over there in March to talk with Intercog again. And that was funding that was available through TAP, the Transportation Alternatives Programs.
Okay.
There were some cracks on the trail.
Yes.
What,
Yep, they are working through making those repairs on the trail. Those cracks actually occurred over the expansion joints.
Sure.
So they're removing what's necessary there and filling back in. There were a number of those on the trail, so,
we wrote it today, my grandson and I.
yep, did you see any of the ones that have been, they're kind of midway in repair right now, and they'll be coming back to fill those in with the proper expansion material.
Sure.
So one of the punch list items they're working through. Any other questions on the trail? Okay, moving on to Highway 150 then. Utility installations continue on segment 3, which is the northern block up here. Last week, there were 2 more blocks of mainline paving that was completed. That was from 6th Street to 4th Street. The contractor intends to pave tomorrow from 4th up through 3rd and just beyond 3rd to about Rife's driveway, if you're familiar with that location. As you know, the plans called, and we've kind of discussed this quite a bit, but the plans do call for the contractor to maintain access to those residents on the dead-end streets that are down there on 3rd and 4th, adjacent to the river. They've accomplished that so far by paving half of those intersections at a time, and then coming back when the paved portion is open, allowing traffic on that, and continuing to pave the other half. The contractor is prepared to do that in accordance with the plans, but they have made a request to us, and I do have Jason Hankins here with Central States Concrete tonight to talk with you about a request to waive that requirement with tomorrow's paving operation. So I'll let Jason present that request to you folks.
I reached out and talked to every homeowner on the dead-end street, had them actually sign a piece of paper so that nobody had to take just my word for it, that I talked to everybody. Told them what our plan was, and the reason for this change is not too far after this intersection, there's a change in width of the pavement. So by doing what we'd like to do, we think we could do a better final product because we could pave to that transition area. If we're not able to do this, we'll put a header in, like the plans say, and then we'll have to come back at a later date, which obviously slows everything down. We'll pave a short stretch, have to tear everything down, change equipment, either bring new equipment in or change the equipment here, and then take off again. Which, when I discussed that with every homeowner, they were very much in favor of anything that sped the process up. And I do also believe that this will give a better final product for the city. And it does obviously help me. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. It does help us for our efficiency, which I hope we'll get back for getting things done quicker. I did talk to them. I told everybody very clearly that it should be 3 days. I honestly believe we'll do better than that with the temperatures we're getting. I think we can get everybody back within about 2 days of vehicular traffic. But I always tell people 3 because I feel it's easier to give them quicker than if I slow them down, everybody gets upset. So I sold it for 3, hoping I can get 2. I told everybody, my opinion, roughly in 12 hours, you can walk across the slab. It would hold easily foot traffic in that amount of time. So they're walking to a car that's just parked across. I talked to the people that own the funeral home. They were okay with people putting their cars in that parking area, so it wouldn't be on the street, and hopefully be safer for everybody as well. Our plan is right now to spot a load of rock on each side of that intersection as well. So that night when we leave, we'll build rock up, not for use for anything other than emergency response vehicles. So if something did happen that night, an ambulance or fire truck would be able to cross it. There's no doubt in my mind they will damage that slab if they cross that early, but, I guess we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it if that happens. Hopefully it never would happen, but this way we're planning for the worst and hoping for the best. Like I said, I've talked to everybody. They're very much in favor. plan on putting their vehicles out. If it does happen tonight, I plan on going back down to let everybody know tonight to get their vehicles out, because tomorrow morning it'll be pretty chaotic down there with ready-mix trucks, us, and everybody trying to go. It'd be better for everybody involved if they could get their vehicles over, much safer for everybody tonight as opposed to tomorrow. That's our plan. I'm also here if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them, but that's where we're at right now.
I think that's a pretty small inconvenience for them. I think that's a great plan.
Before we do anything further, what's
I
the,
appreciate you going and talking to them ahead of time, so they can come here and tell us.
Yep.
absolutely, thank you for that. Question about fire and police, what's the,
I know, you talked to everybody, but otherwise, I mean, even right now, they can't really respond in a thing how can they are, but they didn't see any issue with it. I don't know. Fire,
I talked to Lake Cleo about it, and he was okay with it. You were okay for a while, and we have to take it up over. That's fine, worst case, it was
thank you. Thanks, Dick. Other questions that you might have?
When they did my street, I was parking somewhere else for 2 weeks.
2 days, that's pretty good.
Yeah, this is
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Consensus, everybody's
Better
okay
than
with
the
it.
old one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just kind of give them direction.
Okay, so-
Yeah, because this was just an item for discussion, I just wanted to make sure if there was an objection that we would hold to what was in the plans. I'm not hearing a lot of objection from council, and I think the contractor's done their homework here with emergency services and so forth. So unless there's an objection, I will go ahead and give the contractor direction to deviate from this minor detail of the plans.
Does anybody vehemently object to it?
No, I think it's great that the property owners are all
Yeah.
on board,
And then
early,
there's a safety plan in place too.
because we do have a few elderly ones on that road.
Okay,
Very good. Any other questions for me then on Highway 150?
I do know somebody.
It's good to see the progress.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
All right.
Moving.
They are. Yep, we're getting close now. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Okay, next we'll move to reports then. Council member reports. Catherine, do you want to start, please?
The only thing, and I shared this already with the police, I just received this today about they are actually giving money to come in and assess our schools for safety. That is something that they can apply for, and they've already gone forward with that. And then also all of these things all play a role in the whole big picture. So anyway, they're already moving on it, which I think is fantastic.
Great, thank you for that.
I would ask that we, committee of the whole, signing a petition to disagree with the eminent domain.
Not familiar with what you're talking about. We can certainly put it on the agenda for the committee of the whole and get more information for that.
I don't have anything right now, Mayor.
I have nothing.
Yep.
All is well.
Okay. I guess I should probably talk to you about it just briefly, since I have you here. It's not a city issue. It's not a city government issue. It's a city issue. I published something in the Facebook for my page over the weekend. It deals with the issue of the post office and the steps. I'm sure that everybody has some information about it, but let me give you where we are. For more than a decade, trying to convince through city leaders and through other organizational groups, trying to convince the post office and the federal government that it's just not right that our citizens are being told to go to other cities because they can't maneuver up the steps. It's not just a matter of being disabled. It's also a matter of people that are elderly, young people that have children that have strollers and they can't get up the stairs. So we've been told a variety of things. Recently, I learned that in 2013, there actually was an approval for this, to have the ramp put in. And they actually had drawn plans up and everything, and then there was a budget freeze and it didn't happen. And then the following year, they had the plans ready to go. Again, there was a budget freeze, so there wasn't anything. I recently met with the postmaster to talk about the subject, face-to-face on it. She was very cooperative. She said it was her understanding that it was not feasible to do it because of the slope that was involved. And she was also concerned about the cost. So I had suggested to her that we get an estimate to determine if this can be done or can it not be done. There's no reason to continue to talk about it if it can't be done. It's not going to cost the city any money to get an estimate. It's just a matter of looking at it and determining, is this a viable alternative for us or is it not? In the meantime, I've also had a meeting with Ashley Hinson's people to see whether they could help us on the federal level. It's a very good meeting with them also, and they're willing to, they've got some ideas for additional funding and some other items there for us too. I also talked to her about the possibility of finding a way for something in the short term. So what we've got, we have an agreement that effective the first Tuesday after Labor Day, so not the day after Labor Day, but the first Tuesday after that, every Tuesday and Wednesday from 1 to 3, they will try to provide enhanced service for people at the back of the building. They have a phone number, you call the number and they'll try to do it. They'll try to service them there. Those are the times that are the least busy for the post office, so they're selecting those times as ones that they think they can best handle for us in terms of our people to come there. They are willing to do it any day of the week. They're asking that you don't come in the first half hour or the last half hour of the day. And what they would try to do is if they had 4 people in line and then you called the number, you'd be number 5 in line and they would take it as the best as they could. We also talked about the possibility of putting up some signage of some sort to let people know they could do this. They can't just go to Signs and More, it's the federal government. They have certain vendors that they're required to use. So she's agreed to go and try and find out whether they can get a quote to do this or not. And we'd also like them to put a large phone number on the back door so that they could service there. There's a parking space that's immediately when you pull into the parking lot off Second. That would be the space that the person would use for the service. They wouldn't come down the stairs and service you in front. They'd still service you in the back. She did agree that she would go to her people to determine whether we have permission to go and get the estimate. So we're waiting on that permission. I'm not sure how long that'll take, but we're working with her on it. Like I said, she was very cooperative and understanding, and we're still dealing with the federal government, so we can't make any promises, but I think we made a couple of baby steps forward, if nothing else. So that's my status report for you.
So would it have been 2013 when they put in the new steps?
I don't think so, but I'm not certain. That's the first I heard of it, was when you mentioned that to me today. So I'm going to try and find out about the stairs, because the primary reason why the federal government says that they do not have a responsibility to do this is a legal issue. It's a straight legal issue. The American Disability Act came into effect on a particular year, and the Accessibility Acts came into effect on particular years, and this building was built in 1934, if I'm not mistaken, so that would have been before it, unless they have a significant change within the building itself, or I'm not sure if the staircase out front would apply. I think it might. But if they had done major remodeling within the city, within the post office itself, then they would be subject to bring everything up to code, which would include all ADA. But because they haven't done that, or we don't have documentation of them doing it, there's no legal responsibility that they have to do this. So we're trying to take a little bit of a different position with them and not argue the legality of it. We're trying to argue that it's a moral thing. We've got citizens here that they have the right to use our post office. We're a county seat, for gosh sakes. Why can't we have a post office and have everybody have the ability to use it? So that's what we're trying to do, and we'll keep pushing this forward. We're not going to just drop it. So
I think when they put the steps in, they looked at doing a ramp, because there probably really would and still is space on the south side, but there's a barricade there with, I don't know if there's steps there or what it is, but that would have had to been taken out.
Well,
If
they-
they'd have done that, they could have run something just kind of like City Hall up and,
Right, the
Yeah,
south
that's
side of the building, they've got egress windows from the basement down there. There's a, drops down, the concrete shell drops down.
Supposed to be a
and
water retention.
It's water retention as well, okay. So that's why, and their thought process when I talked to her was she didn't believe there was enough space on that side in order to properly do the ramp. But I think that, John and I looked at this the other day, and our thought process was if you went to the other side of the building and you ran, there's a slope there as well, between them and the church, but if you came from the parking lot in the back and you ran a sidewalk, it's pretty level across there, so it's not a big slope up. You bring the sidewalk along the edge of the parking lot up to the building itself, along the building, and then when you get to the front, at that point, you do the ramp up from that position there. So you don't have a ramp like we have out here, the size of it. I mean, I'm not an engineer, so I have engineers that can tell me whether I'm totally off base, but it seems to me that the distance of the slope there from that corner to where the staircase is not nearly as great. I think that we could probably do it from there, or they could probably do it from there. This is not a situation where the city is looking to spend money on doing this, but it's possible that, if we find out what it is and the federal government isn't willing to pay for it, we could have city donations possibly. In the past, they've said no, they cannot accept that, but apparently there's a Post Office Reform Act of 2021 or 2022, which now allows some private funding for public buildings. So that even if they won't pay for it, it's possible we could do some city funding like we've done on a lot of other projects to come up with this to help our citizens.
Is this something that some of the ARPA funds might be able to qualify for?
I don't think we would want to use ARPA funds on this because I think that the number is going to be way more than what,
I mean, if they wanted a contribution from the
Sure,
city.
sure, absolutely. I mean, our ramp here cost $140,000 or something like that, so we don't have that kind of money for our ARPA fund. But I don't think it should be anywhere near that amount of money on this project, but I guess we'll find out. I mean, that's why we want to get the estimate and take a look at it to know what we're really talking about, Otherwise, you're just talking, about theories and what you want to do and what you don't want to do. Until you really get to the facts, have all the facts and all the information, it's hard to make a good decision, and that's what we're trying to do.
at the north side, I think you're gonna have water issues because that's lower than the church.
It is lower than
Unless
the
you built
church.
it up.
It is lower than the church, but I don't know that there's a significant significant runoff from that side of the building that runs across the face of the post office, but I guess that's something else that the contractors will have to look
Sod
at.
out, you'll have the runoff.
Yeah. And by the way, they couldn't use one of our contractors anyway because the federal government only has their select contractors, so we'd have to use somebody from Minnesota that they would be using for that. But again, I say we, I mean we as the City of Independence, not we as the City of Independence government. It's not going to be a situation where the government here is going to be funding this. It's a situation where we're trying to help our citizens.
Did we offer to provide the plans of the ones we used for the ramp that we put in?
We haven't done that yet. I think step number one is to get their permission to go out and take a look at it. Step number two is to get the estimate itself, and then we'll have a further conversation at that point. That's the plan anyway. And by the way, I did ask Ashley Hinson's office. Their people have agreed that they're going to look at the current legislation, and also they also indicated that there's been a change, some other changes in the past where you couldn't piecemeal a voting bill. So that might affect things in the past, we just couldn't, you couldn't earmark things, but now apparently we'll be able to have the ability to do that again. See how that works out.
Maybe a lift could be just put in there to the back.
To the back, they won't let you come, for security reasons, they can't take you in through the back door. You'd have to enter through the front door. So if you did a lift, I did have an ADA case that I handled that, where we put a lift up that, outside the building, to the level of the entrance to the building and use that as a way of doing it, but that's pretty expensive too. I think the ramp would be cheaper than the lift, but I guess we'll find out.
The ADA requires, I think, to have a lift or a ramp that it go to the same location the rest of the public is gonna use, and the public will have to go to the
Correct. But you also have to have from the street itself or the sidewalk, the lift itself, and again, you can't really do that up a hill because of the slope, so you'd end up having to come around from the back anyway, so I'm not sure we gain anything by doing that, but we'll look at all options when the time comes. Anything else? Okay. Susan?
I don't know.
What? I was counting on you.
I guess last chance if anybody wants to go to Iowa League of Cities, they start charging late fee registration on the 26th, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't go. Okay, so then if there's no other things there, we would need,
One thing on your LMI project.
Yes.
Just, you have, when you start getting quotes from, Cousin Eddie, because you're gonna be still spending city money. I know it's their property, but I didn't know if you had a policy in place that requires licensed contractors or
we
things
do,
like
it
that.
has to be licensed contractors.
Okay,
Yep, we're all set on that.
good.
No,
Okay.
Cousin Eddie's.
Okay, so then we would need a motion to adjourn this part of the meeting. We have a closed session coming up after, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So you need to verify with Mr. Herman that we can do a closed session. And then
Yes,
kick everybody out.
agenda includes agenda item 9A to discuss strategy with counsel in the matter presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent. We do have a topic to discuss that qualifies for that purpose.
Okay,
So actually, you don't adjourn the meeting, you just have a vote to go into the closed session. We go into closed session, move everybody out, then we come back into open session, and we can take action and/or adjourn the meeting.
I'd make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
is that, sending it in as a roll call as well?
Yep.
Okay, roll call vote then.
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Crusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Okay, passes 7-0. Thank you all for coming.